Our guest is Dr. Moses Marang'a. Dr. Marang'a is the Executive Director of the National Council on Administration of Justice, NCAJ. It's a council with a long name, but he'll tell us all about it shortly. Good morning, Dr. Marang'a.
Good morning.
Good to have you in the Situation Room. Karibu sana.
Asante.
We want to talk about justice today, being Justice Thursdays. We decided that we want to be having these conversations so we can open up conversations about access to justice. It's one of the big things in the country, accessing justice and knowing that if you go to any court in the country, this is the process. This is how you get in. This is how you get your justice. This is how you secure justice. If you're unhappy, this is how you seek redress and all that. Now, there's a National Council on the Administration of Justice. Tell us about it. Is it a legal entity? Is it a chama? Is it an association? Or a workers' union?
Thank you. Maybe before I talk about NCAJ, kindly allow me to take this opportunity to thank SpiceFM. This is a rare opportunity to talk to Kenyans, to other partners all over the world about administration of justice. And we are really grateful as NCAJ for this opportunity. Again, allow me to thank the Honorable Chief Justice, Martha Koome. When she came into the judiciary, she decided that justice has to go close to Mwananchi, and this led to the conceptualization of the whole idea of Justice Thursdays. So this is a good opportunity for us. Having said that, NCAJ stands for a National Council on the Administration of Justice. It's an incorporated body which was established in 2011. This is in JSC Act of 2011. So today we are celebrating 10 years of service. It has been quite a good journey. Of course, with some challenges here and there. We have learned lessons. And now we are ready to go to the next decade between 2022-2032 in terms of service delivery to Kenyans. The justice sector, or the NCAJ, which serves the administration of justice of justice in the sector, comprises of state and non-state actors. The state actors are the government institutions that handle matters to do with justice. And I want to give a typical example. If you are arrested today, not arrested, if you commit a crime today, I know you are a good gentleman, you will not commit crime.
No, hardly.
Alex here.
He's talking about Eric.
This guy.
Eric is a law-abiding citizen.
Of course he is. Yes. All right. Please continue.
Let me use myself as an example.
No, just carry on with Eric. There are those who believe he's a law-abiding citizen. Let's not disappoint them. Please continue with his example. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, if a crime is committed, definitely the aggrieved person or the victim will go and report to the police station, and that will be the first point of contact with one of the key institutions of the justice sector, the police. The police will then be obliged to investigate the issue. They will investigate and hopefully arrest the person. If the person is arrested, he will be handed over to courts, and then the prosecution will begin. So the prosecution office, the office of the director of prosecution, will take over and prosecute the case. Once the case goes to court, the third institution comes in, the judiciary. The issue will be heard, and at the end of the day, there will be either a conviction or an acquittal, assuming it's a criminal matter. And eventually the person goes to prison. Those are 4 key justice sector institutions. Before that, there will be other players, non-state actors. The LSK will be there to represent the accused, and including other persons with various interests. So that gives the context why if there is a weak link at one point in time, either at the point of apprehension of the criminal, the point of prosecution, and the point of conviction by the court, then there will be a problem. And that is what brought the whole idea about the need for working as a team, the need for having National Council on Administration of Justice. And that is where we are now, because the idea is to have efficiency. Efficiency means, let me interpret loosely and say, having no blame game. Sijui ni huyu hajafanya huyu, ni huyu hajafanya hii. It's in an ideal situation, things should be seamless, no weak link. And at the end of the day, the person who is supposed to benefit is the Kenyan. It's the Wajiko. And our prayer and our aspiration is that Wajiko should have memorable and positive experience having passed through the system.
The entire system.
Hatutaki ile watu wanasema, nilienda huko kuko hivi, kuko kubaya. That's what the justice sector aspires to be, a premier institution that serves the public in the entire justice sector. They have memorable experience and they are able to get justice at the end of the day.
How are you able to measure the impact of what you do? How do you know if, since the establishment of the NCAJ, there's actually been some improvement in the experience that court users have with the justice sector players?
There are many ways, and we have used them. I want to start with one which has been more rigorous, which is more of undertaking a survey. We go around the country, we interview the court users. Court users is anybody who interacts with the court, whether you are afraid, you are escorting a person, or you are coming for any other business in the court. We interview them and get feedback. And we are even able to go ahead and quantify and say they are satisfied to say 60%. And we gather useful lessons, the challenges, and we use them now to try and build a better future. That's one of the ways. Secondly, and most importantly, there are those policies that the council, the NCAJ council, makes. You see, one of the key functions is to make policy, legal, and administrative, to spearhead administrative reforms in the NCAJ. So we have produced quite a mouthful of policy documents, capturing legal reforms, administrative reforms, and the same have been disseminated to the grassroots. And we believe, since at the grassroots, the council is represented, we believe there is positive impact to the Wajiko at the grassroots level. Allow me to mention something. I know it's about NCAJ, and what maybe the Wajiko would like to hear is this a thing about Nairobi, sitting in Nairobi and coordinating. It's about Nairobi, but most importantly, it's about grassroots. NCAJ has a replica at grassroots level by a body called Court User Committee. The court user committees are spread across the country. Currently, we have 42 county CUCs. We have 127 sub-county CUC. That is where we have magistrate courts. And those are the platforms that brings the OCAs, the children officer at the grassroots, the prosecutor at the grassroots, among other players, to come and discuss issues to do with justice. And from that forum is when the council at the top would receive feedback from the grassroots. And it's the same forum the decisions by the council would trickle down for implementation at the grassroots.
Okay. Before the establishment of all of this and now, I guess experiences then are able to show. I assume that then you came engaged with the system before this new system where that was going to guarantee efficiency. how have you been able to see that things have changed? What are some things that you've said or that you've seen along the lines that maybe were deficient previously and are now efficient? What are some experiences that you've been told of that you can be clear have said, okay, this is working a lot better. People are a lot more satisfied with their experience. People now are willing to engage with the judicial system a lot more because the experience has been enhanced.
Thank you for that question. In 2013, the entire system, justice system, had close to 800,000 clients who had come to request their services, and their services were being handled at court level by various actors. These clients, in terms of services, is what we say they had disputes. Disputes were taken to court by police, by other persons, and this is what was there that time. It was a challenge because as a Kenyan, your case would take slightly over 3, 4, 5 years before it was concluded. And that was not a good situation. And that is why the actors sat together and decided we may need to reduce the time taken to serve Kenyans. The numbers I have given are domiciled at court, but they are not necessarily court number. All those prayers come to court, and those prayers have a role to play in terms of those cases being resolved. Mm-hmm. So that is where the conversation began. That's the experience which was there. Not really a good one, but as at now, I can authoritatively say, with that collaboration, the time taken to handle disputes by Kenyans has greatly reduced to an average of between 1 and 2 years. But we are not yet there because by international standards, ideally no case should go beyond 1 year. Of course, there is general acceptance that everything has a cycle and we need to resolve our disputes within 1 year. That's where we want to go in terms of the future. Those challenges have been there, but now we want to address them.
When I look at the composition of this organization that you head, what informed that composition?
It's very simple. It was deliberate. And the first criteria is who plays a key role in terms of administration of justice. If you look at the act envisaged 16 persons to be part of NCAJ, starting with the chairperson, the chief justice, there is ODPP, there is a commissioner of prison, inspector general, among those people. Those are the people with the highest threshold in terms of administration of justice. They represent institutions that handle matters to do with justice. Beyond that, there are other critical players, and NCAJ has been granted the authority to co-opt. Right now, there are 40 players, including representative of business communities, civil society organization, development partners. We have broadened because we realized it may not be about government institutions only, but it's beyond government institutions. Sometimes it's you, Mbuga, who has a big role to play in terms of yourself accessing justice. If you don't visit a police station to report and something has happened to you, maybe you have made a mistake. If you are summoned to appear in a court, you don't appear. What will the court do? The court will adjourn and will say the witness was not available, all those manner of things. So it's a collective responsibility where all of us are expected to play their role. So that was the conceptualization, starting from 16, realizing the gap, co-opting more members to reach the current number of 40.
I need to ask, does it have the military?
Currently, the Ministry of Defense is there.
Okay. Civil society?
There.
Religious organizations?
There.
Lawyers.
LSK is okay.
Lawyers are everywhere. You cannot miss them. Do you have organizations that look after the welfare of children?
Exactly. They are there. We have equality now as part of the council. We have FIDA. They are seated at the council, and they are able to articulate and discuss with state actors about the issues to do with children. Where we are sitting, we are considering the broader picture of access to justice for the vulnerable groups. If you go to our constitution and you try to find the meaning of vulnerable, there are so many, including children, marginalized women, name them. So that's where the focus is, and that is why, in terms of the representation, we have those groups representing the vulnerable groups. If you look at our strategic aspiration as NCAJ, I know this is technical, but usually in an office, in a government office, there is a strategic plan, and a strategic plan has key areas of focus. At NCAJ, we have one key area of focus, which is access to justice for the vulnerable, with a lot of emphasis on children issues. If you look at the strategic plan, even for other organizations like judiciary and among other institutions, the issue of vulnerable groups, very key. So those are the things that we are looking at NCAJ. Previously, the focus was on all groups as a whole, criminal justice sector reforms, but we realize there are some aspects which require some special attention. There are some groups which require some special attention, and that's the conceptualization of having now those specific groups and their representatives in the council.
As the council, then, if you look at and find there are several areas of concern or weaknesses, say, for example, public trust with the police service, and that reduces the chances that somebody who is aggrieved will actually go to report to a police station, which means that they will not go and seek justice, and they'll not get into the system of this seeking justice. What do you do to address that? Because you see, as you said, that's like the first point of call of going to the police service, the law enforcement agency, and say, I feel aggrieved and I'd like to seek justice. What do you do to address such issues as, yes, there's a confidence in the judiciary, there's a confidence in the ODPP, there's confidence in the investigative agencies and law enforcement agencies like the police?
Thank you. Actually, one of the ways, it's like what is happening now, media outreach. I believe at the end of this conversation, I'll have said something, and a Kenyan out there will have come to know that there exist NCAJ, and there exist these institutions, and there exist a place where you can go and air your views. But let me talk about the intervention at the grassroots level. I mentioned about Court Users Committee comprising all those actors at the grassroots. Today, just or any other Thursday, the Court Users Committees are expected to have outreach programs. They will go, they will have public barazas, they will educate wananchi, they will tell them about procedures on accessing court services, police services, among other issues. As at now, we have really emphasized about those outreach programs at Mashinani as our key platform of reaching out to Mwananchi. I can't authoritatively say that we are like at 100%, but the beauty of it is that we have taken the bull by its horns, and that's an area we want to make progress on. More outreach programs so that Kenyans can know in case they are aggrieved on a given issue regarding justice, they can visit this office and other offices. Again, all justice sector offices, they have what I may term as customer care desks or personnel, judiciary, ODPP, all the institutions. Sometimes the issue may be about a specific institution which needs to be addressed at that institutional level. So that is in place, and there are those redress mechanisms at institutional level. Beyond now, what I have talked about
At the council level.
at COC level and at council at the top.
Okay.
Victor, I want to take you back to a question I'd asked earlier, to which you had responded by telling us that the number that you have within your committee is now 40. Okay? Now, it represents a lovely, diversified cross-section of the community. What I'm interested in knowing was 40 is a large number. I was envisioning a room with 40 people talking.
Like 40 board members.
Yes, and I'm thinking, hey,
It's an AGM.
yes, that is an AGM. Or it's a rally. Yes. How do you go about your business when you have this number? And how do you ensure that that business is conducted in a way that the deliberations have the desired outcome of ensuring that the Mwananchi actually benefits?
Thank you. When you talk of a large number, I think to me it's very positive because it's about representation. And sometimes if you don't have that sizable number, there are chances that someone would feel not well represented. Remember, our mandate as NCAJ, it's about collaboration and that cohesive existence for delivery of justice. So as at now, we really like those numbers and we are moving on well. But most importantly, how we operate is this way. At the top, we have the council. Below the council is a technical teams drawn from various agencies that sieves out issues before they are deliberated by the council. Below there are task forces or committees that handle distinct issues. We have a committee on criminal justice sector reforms. It's headed by Justice Genye. We have a committee on children matters. We have a committee on court users committee. So the agenda of administration of justice is spearheaded by committees with all the membership of those institutions. They sieve out issues, and issues are then taken up to the larger committee or the council. But before those issues are taken there is the technical committee. And that technical committee, it's a committee we really interact with as an office where I serve, because that is where we take all our board papers. Board papers, we synthesize information and we realize that this requires some intervention by the council. So by the time the council is meeting, everything is almost or fully synthesized. And most of the times, they agree to a good extent about the report from the technical committee coming down from those other specific committees, and they are able now to move the agenda of the council in a quicker manner. Once the council makes the decisions, as a secretariat or as NCAJ now, us as the technical people, we pick, isolate recommendations, and the recommendations now goes to the grassroots institutions, the police, the ODPP at the grass for implementation. So that is the entire architect of the decision making of the council. Top there, but a very supportive group there, very supportive committees discussing issues thoroughly so that we are able to make the best decisions. Remember at top there, like the Chief Justice is also the leader of Judiciary, ODPP, Inspector General. Those are relatively, let me not say busy people, but they are engaged, heavily engaged with their institutions, and they require support. That is why we have that hierarchical kind of a model for ease of decision making.
So when the council meets, then the proper council meeting is like a summit.
Yes.
It's like UN General Assembly.
It's like a cabinet.
It's like coming to discuss the reports that are coming from the various committees.
Yes.
This committee on court users committees has told us this. This committee on children welfare has done this. So you're all just sitting and looking. These are the recommendations of the committee. If there's any input, we give the input, and then we vote yes, we vote no. We give now the executive director and his secretariat the mandate then to move it on. I want to go back also to the issue of the satisfaction. So you said you conduct satisfaction surveys with the players in the justice sector, including the citizens. Just take us through the last 10 years. Have you seen an improvement in the satisfaction survey, and where are we at right now? Are people saying that they are 40% satisfied with the services of the judiciary and the judicial sector players, or at what level are we?
Thank you. There has been 3 surveys. They were spearheaded by the judiciary, not by the judiciary at that level. And the conceptualization was because in the justice sector there is what we call upstream and downstream. At downstream, this is the point you'll be able to gather all the experiences of a person right from the time he was arrested, before he is even convicted and or taken to prison. That's the point you'll get the remadees, get the accused, those coming from prisons, prison wardens, prosecutors. You'll get all their views. As at now, the satisfaction is around between 60 and 65%. I can't recall whether 61, 62 exactly. That's where we are. At the ordinary benchmarks, satisfaction level of above 60 is quite satisfactory, because now what remains is pushing it now towards 60, towards 70, 80, and 100. And we would not like to complain. Of course, we know, and we are able to know areas of dissatisfaction, and we have taken them positively.
What are those areas? I mean, what is this 35% dissatisfaction? Because I look at it from that angle. A 35% dissatisfaction, that's a very high percentage.
No, Eric, you are a bit pessimistic.
Yes, by nature.
I would have gone for why the 65% satisfaction. But now that you have talked about dissatisfaction,
More than a third.
Yeah, the dissatisfaction stems from various fronts. One major issue is when there is delay. Ordinarily, when you visit a government office, you would want to be served within the shortest time period. As I had made my remarks earlier, delay in terms of maybe resolution of cases where all players are involved, that's a cause of dissatisfaction. You'd agree with me that government resources are limited. Even as Kenyans, we rarely hit what we want to achieve in terms of tax correction, so that now we can finance government projects. So that has an adverse effect in terms of including physical infrastructure. So one area of dissatisfaction is physical infrastructure. You'll go to maybe a police station, you realize the cell is kidogo.
Yeah.
To a court, all of us are not fitting in a single courtroom. But nonetheless, that's an area we have really focused on in terms of improving the infrastructure. And one strategy recently, and which now we are really giving a lot of emphasis, is the use of technology If there is congestion in a court, we don't want everybody to come to court. Can we use technology, cooperative forms to reduce that? We are at close conversation with the National Treasury for additional funding to the GJRO sector or the justice sector. And of course, we know as a country the resource basket has to be shared across all government ministries. But we are optimistic that going forward we can address those physical issues of staffing, so that we can address dissatisfaction. Let me give an example. For you to give government services, what do you require? You require labor and capital resources. Do we have enough police in the country? Do we have enough judges? Do we have enough prosecutors? Those challenges are there. The problem is not very big. We have good, or what I may term as optimal numbers to drive us to the next level, but we still require additional numbers.
Would you say that the challenges that are faced, still looking at that 35%, would you say that the challenges that are currently being faced are as a result of external factors, or are there internal factors that could maybe help to reduce that number even more? Are there things within the system that can be improved upon, or are we looking like external factors of labor, which of course then is directly linked to the limited source of funds and things like this?
I would like to be honest and say in any situation we would not miss a few internal factors affecting service delivery. And that's what is primarily, or becomes like a recurrent agenda of the council. When they hold that closed-door meeting, they will discuss all manner of issues. They will say, you are not maybe doing this properly. Can you handle it this way? Can you improve on this and this? Without mentioning specifics, those issues are addressed at that council level and even at the grassroots by CUC. A simple issue like which affects administration of justice at the grassroots. The issue of witnesses coming to court. Who brings the witnesses? Those issues, they will discuss them in that closed door meeting and address them. So those are the internal issues. Okay. I would not quantify to what extent the internal versus external has an effect, but for internal, I think they are less, and we will be able now going forward. We have put in place strategies to address them.
Okay. I'm curious as to where then the NCAJ falls when it comes to matters arising in the country. Is there a role that is played directly there? Matters justice. I mean, right now there are many conversations that are being had. There are many things that have come to the fore. We're looking at things like extrajudicial killings, which play directly to the justice that Kenyans would seek, whether for themselves or for the basic units of society, right? We have many things cropping up every now and then. Does the NCAJ play a direct role when it comes to either then looking for sources of recourse, redress, or are we saying it's just within the court that the NCAJ will play out its mandate and within the court users, or matters justice in the country in general? Is there a voice here that is led by the NCAJ?
There is a voice. The issues you have mentioned are more of criminal in nature, and NCAJ has a dedicated committee known as Criminal Justice Sector Reforms. The committee is dealing with all issues affecting Kenyans in terms of crime. Okay. The reforms, emerging crime, terrorism, extrajudicial issues. Those issues are discussed at length by that committee, and the solutions emanate from the committee. Some of them may require escalation to the council for the final decision making, and then from the council there would flow the action by specific institutions. Okay. Let me give this example. When COVID came, the retired Chief Justice through NCAJ addressed the country and scaled down court operations, police, not really police operations, reduced access to the offices of justice sector agencies. And that was the role, a positive role, which was played by NCAJ as an intervention to the pandemic.
Okay.
And I can authoritatively say Kenyan justice sector was not extremely or hardly hit by the pandemic because of those interventions that were timely done by the council.
Okay.
And one of the key things which was done was initiate prison decongestion program. Because that time we were told, if I'm next to you here, I'm next to Muga here, that COVID would really spread. And so we thought of issue of decongestion, and that was a plus. A lot of inmates were released, and we were able to address the issue of the pandemic in prisons.
Okay.
In courts, we adopted technology. In other offices, there were technology initiatives. And I think as a sector, there was good progress.
Can I give another example?
Yes.
Like currently, what we are seeing now with the dumping of bodies in water bodies around the country, many would say that there is a clear lapse in terms of justice. It doesn't matter who it is that had died. Those who work in the police service, those who are civilians walking about, going about their daily business, there's a cry for justice there. How would the NCAJ then play? I mean, because you said that there's a committee that would sit and deal with matters like this. In this particular case, how would we see the NCAJ playing its role here?
For that issue, again, it's not one of the issues we'd want to see as Kenyans, you and me. So it's not a good phenomenon. What I can say is that the council meets 3 times in a year. That's quarterly basis. For this quarter starting January to March, the council will be meeting at a date in February. So that will be an issue for discussion. I would not want to preempt, but there will be a discussion around that area, because we need to unearth the source of such. I don't want to classify them as crime as at now, but those bad things. So that now there will be a solution. My request to Kenyans is that they give us little time as NCAJ in terms of all the institutions. We unearth the issues, and the issues will be dealt with and addressed in due course. There is a
Dr.
meeting in
Marang'a.
February, and it will definitely be part of the
Has the
discussion.
police ever come to the council to, express concern about the speed of delivery of justice? And here I mean, so police are the ones who are, interacting directly with citizens, with the complainants. They start an investigation. They take the investigation file to the DPP. Prosecution commences. The law mandates the judicial officer to release this person, the suspect, on bail. The police are the ones who are seeing the person that they investigated so painstakingly walking around and about with a lot of impunity. Have the police ever come to say, you know what, guys? We are doing so much work, we are bringing criminals to court, and we are seeing the criminals walking around. Has there been such a complaint? Like, have you dealt with that at NCAJ?
It's not about the police. Everybody has brought up issues, or what I may call complaints.
This particular one is
About-
the police. Have the police raised this as a concern, as a point of concern, where they say they feel that all the work that they do sometimes is just not supported by the system?
I would really stick to the issue of it's not police alone. Everybody raises issues about other institutions, and they discuss. Even the prosecutors, they are Kenyans. They walk around. They are also affected as individuals by crime. Even us, we are all affected. So it's a forum where all those grievances or complaints come in, and institutions will say, maybe my brother you could handle this way. Maybe we could move with speed. The ODPP will tell the police, maybe you can do this. The court will tell them in those forums. And there will be a discussion and definitely a kind of a solution. It's not about one, like the police complaining. It's about all of them having a conversation.
Okay.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.